Big, exciting mission. It's the number one thing that motivates human behavior is wanting to make a difference, to contribute, and that's the core focus.
Mm-hmm. I will say, number one, that it's the biggest challenge in a media organization, especially being on the technology side, is finding technology talent. Because a top engineer that graduates from Stanford, CMU, or drops out of any other school to go start their own company doesn't think about going to the Atlantic or Washington Post or the New York Times. They think about going to Facebook or Path or Netflix. So we have to sell them on the mission of media. We have to sell them on the fact that they can help change the world. They can help change the way media, news, and information is consumed. And it's something that's extremely important. Then, on the flip side, you can also say you're part of a smaller team of maybe 50 or 100, as opposed to one of 4,000 genius engineers, and your code will never see the light of day. Whereas your production, your product will probably be launched within 2 weeks for a media company. It's really difficult to recruit for media companies, but Reed is right that it's about a mission. Engineers want to solve big problems, and we have big problems that need to be solved. So that's my pitch to developers and engineers.
You think it's hard to recruit for a media company? I mean, you guys feel me on this one. I mean, this is really tough in government. And what the irony is that I have been experienced the two ends of the spectrum. I have gone from it being really hard to recruit people into the government to working on a presidential campaign where people were begging to be part of the organization, giving up everything they had, moving across the country to work on the presidential campaign. And why is that? I think it really illustrates one of the core challenges of government recruiting. And I should point out, Tom wrote a great piece in the Washington Post that went into a little bit more detail about this issue. That's a great read. It's the length of commitment, I think, is really worth thinking about with government. We are not organized well for people to come in, try something for a year or two, and then move on. In terms of being actual employees, to be part of the government. They can take a chance on a startup. They can join Netflix and in a few years pick up some skills and go start their own company or something like that. This is not the kind of ethic that we have, particularly in technology and government. It's very difficult to get in, and once you're in, the culture is that you stay, and there's not a lot of change. I don't know how you solve that, but it's a really big problem. It's a really big problem to get good people in, just process-wise. One of the areas that I'm interested in, and I would suggest you guys explore this too, is this notion of fellowships. And to the extent you're tracking what Todd Park and the White House are doing with the Presidential Innovation Fellows, this idea that you have a program explicitly for 6-month, 1-year, 2-year terms where you bring in people from companies, they work, they serve the public in a way that builds capacity, and then they go back out smarter about the world, about government, back to these companies that lend them out, back to their next career. But alternative methods to get people in the building, because right now it's a pretty high wall to get people in, and they just have, as Tom points out, way too many options. Unless they're crazy, I guess, like me, or don't have a lot of options, I'm not sure. They won't make it in. It's a giant problem.